So thank you so much once again joining us, Rosangela Barcaro from Italy. And just want to give you a little introduction, to our audience. You're working like ethics consultant for projects in robotics, and you're also PhD in bioethics, completed in 2004 from University Genoa. And you're also working like independent center Interdepartmental Center for Research Ethics and Integrity, CID Ethics Commission, CNR. So it's a wonderful, massive and huge profile, and we are on this platform of RESO, and that's the very philosophy and methodology of RESO, to have people from different expertise and domains, so that we can discuss their dexterity, and these can be certain instrumental tools which we can develop as an open library. That's what the very philosophy. And you've also worked upon pen down good number of books and research papers on bioethical concerns covering these domains. So we are very glad, ma'am, once again to have you on this platform. Such a blessing, such a possibility for our audience and for the platform as well. Would like to move on to my first question, which is certainly an important question. Is what are the biggest challenges researchers face in maintaining research integrity?
Too many challenges exist. Some are really new, others are older. For example, among the new challenges, we can mention COVID pandemic and generative AI and large language models used to write papers, fabricate data, and so on. All of us remember what happened during the COVID pandemic with clinical trials predisposed in order to show that some kind of improbable many months after verification of data provided during these clinical trials was discovered that the drugs tested on people were not effective. In some cases were dangerous. And this is one really big issues, how the data on these three clinical trials have been provided. Why was possible that they were falsified among experiences and clinical trials done by other researchers, for example. One more challenge I feel in these days is the ideological pressure to blur the boundaries between true and false. We are living in a so-called post-truth world. What does it mean? I think that one concept, one idea, one discover provides new data in order to better understand our world, some kind of phenomena, biological, medical, social, political phenomena. Is it true in the sense that my description, my theory fits to the world, or it's true because I modified in some way the word in order to fit my ideas. Other challenges are the publish or perish pressure in academies, the way of living that many researchers, many of us, are every day struggling with. You need to provide a very robust CV for applying for research fundings, and you need to have a large amount of publication. The academic work is real competitive, and this competition might push researchers to follow the easiest path to publish and get grants. For example, breaching of integrity is one. I wouldn't like say possibility, but shortcut. Many of us remember the news on cases on research misconduct and, for example, retractions of papers published in scientific journals. Today, on Retraction Watch website, created by two independent scholars, Adam Marcus and Ivan Oransky, in order to detect scientific frauds and scientific misconduct, I read that in the Retraction Watch databases are 57,000 papers retracted, scholarly papers retracted by journals, by authors for several different kind of breach in research ethics and conduct. And this is a real hot topic because many of these, many, even if not all of these papers have been published with public grants provided to universities and researchers.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for letting us know on this important area. This is certainly a very important question because researchers are facing and maintaining research integrity, as you've also mentioned that there are a good number of journals and research papers and articles being published by different journals with different intentions and compromising and fabricating and falsification with body of data. So which is not like, there is also pressure on researchers giving publications in academia and research domain, but the compromise that happens in terms of quality and kind of that's really a matter of concern which should be sort of taken into consideration. So thanks a lot for that. Would like to move on to my second question, which is certainly an important question. Again, it says like, how can institutions ensure transparency and accountability in research?
I think that it is possible promoting ethical behavior among researchers. How can the institutions might provide this? Education is of utmost importance. Institutions must fund programs for researchers, teachers, students in high school and in colleges and universities. For example, the European Commission in Europe financed several programs during the last 12 years or so in order to train experts in ethics and research integrity, capable of transfer their newly acquired expertise to other researchers and students. Another point is creating a collaborative environment in which researchers and students can share doubts about issues on research ethics and integrity. Change the role model of mentorship in university, because in many cases, the mentor is the person which transfers her capabilities, way of understanding problems, way of solving problems to her students. And this is a fundamental issue, because if your mentor doesn't do a real mentorship to you, and you as a PhD student, for example, is almost completely abandoned to yourself, you have to provide some results if you are conducting a research for your PhD dissertation. And if you don't have any kind of advice about ethics and integrity, you are all alone. You have to solve yourself your problems. And this might be introduce a possibility of shortcut in fabricating data, plagiarism, falsification of data, images, and so on. So provide new mentorship opportunities for students in general and for PhD students in particular, I think is a very urgent issue. And also a deep change in way of funding researchers. Several parameters need to be adopted. They need to, the commissions that evaluate applications for grants needs to evaluate not only how many papers the researchers published during his or her career, but how this researcher is involved in collaborative works with other colleagues, who was the mentor of these researchers, for example, what kind of institutions these researchers worked with or worked within. So probably I would like to say like a model of made up by several different other parameters that can grasp the personality of researchers, not only is scholarly publications and training and so on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for informing and updating on this important question. Institutions ensuring accountability and transparency in research, because you used words plagiarism, falsification, data manipulation, and twisting, that becomes certainly a big challenge for researchers, PhD students, and scholars and researchers who have been incessantly, ever since the inception of their start, they've been into research. But it's certainly a direct challenge, like falsification, plagiarism, twisting, manipulation of data. So how to sort of handle that important skill for us, for our audience as well. Would like to move on to my third question. Again, an important question says, what roles do peer review and open access play in upholding research integrity? Very important question, ma'am.
Yes, this is a very, very important question. Like the mentorship, as I mentioned above, the peer review is a process that involves different people. And in some cases, when you present a paper to a journal, you need to have some observation from experts. And in many cases, these experts are people that work for free for a scholar journal and give their opinions and suggestions to researchers. And it is a very important process because, in particular for early career students, advice and are fundamental to improve your capability, your ability, your also education. But if the peer review doesn't work well, for example, when predatory journals solicit researchers to publish with them, saying that there's a peer review mechanism, very fast, very efficient, so that the publication might be delivered in 10 days, 15 days. You understand that this is something that doesn't work. There's no peer review at all in 10 days. And this is his first issue. Peer review is important. but need to be taken seriously. And this is not what happens with predatory journal, for example. On the same level, open access play a very important role because researchers who are willing to share their data with the community of peers are also researchers that can help others to manage, better understand this data, falsificate this data if something is in case. And this way, the whole research process is working virtuously in the sense that we apply a mechanism of control, challenge, help, working together in order to improve our knowledge. And basically, as I mentioned before, the COVID pandemic showed the importance of open science. In very limited time, sharing data, scientists obtained a great result, the vaccine. And in normal among brackets way of working, the amount of time needed to get a vaccine would be longer. So open science probably is for a better future of science and research. It shows a collaborative way to work with others, and not just in order to be competitive for granting and funding for research. It is a common effort to get results in science.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, letting us know on this important question. And you also mentioned, like, peer review is an important activity and should be taken very, very seriously. And open access also is one of the area which is certainly very important and relevant if researchers want to share their research work with other fellow researchers. And how it is important, and how fabricated possibilities can also happen when it is claimed that a research document is peer reviewed, but it's not at all. That's what I smell by your words, and it's really important you throwing light on this. Would like to move on to my fourth question, very important questions, is how can researchers navigate ethical dilemmas in data collection and reporting?
In Europe exists an organization called ALIA, the European Federation of Academies of Sciences and Humanities, and it's composed by 60 academies from European and non-European countries. It's been founded in 1994 to promote science as a global public good and to facilitate collaboration across borders and disciplines. ALIA has a research code of conduct revised in 2023, and it is the main instrument that might help to better understand what is research integrity. And several university and national research facilities have research integrity office or committee or commission and codes of conduct inspired by the ALIA code. And I think that the code and the research integrity office or committee or commission might help people in navigating ethical dilemmas in data collection and reporting. You know that the informed consent for any kind of research involving people, human subjects, is the most important thing you have in order to start your trial or interviews or the kind of activity you want to conduct with people. And obviously, many people do not know or do not understand very well that informed consent is fundamental, and they uphold informed consent and they try to publish the data collected without the necessary conditions. If there's a research integrity office, training, formation, education for people, researchers now might know before starting their research what is fundamental. For example, transparency in reporting data, aggregated data collected among different people, and so on. So the existence of experts with particular capabilities can help researchers to navigate ethical dilemmas. And ethical dilemmas can be different in different contexts, in different research contexts. So it's important having people that might help you when the problems is coming up. People that might answer to your questions about this problem that came up.
Thank you so much for letting us know on this important question. Would like to move on to my fifth question, which is a wrap-up question, also final question. Thank you so much. Says, what steps should be taken to prevent plagiarism and data fabrication in academia?
Okay. Education, it is my hot point. Effective consultant services, universities and research institutions. Change of mind among the older and much more experienced researchers that are the mentors for young generations of researchers. Change in policy for funding research, and engagement of civil society, because the knowledge research produces public good, and more important these days, help people to understand that using generative AI and large language models are not the solution for their problem to get published. They might useful instruments. We saw, for example, in astrophysics, in creation of models for proteins and so on, but they are also instruments. They are just instruments used by people, persons, researchers with ideas, with their aim to improve knowledge for the public good.
So thank you so much once again. I would like to say thanks a lot, Rosangela Barcaro, joining us from Italy and sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your deep insight on this important topic like research and integrity. I think we've covered on this platform, RESO platform, for the very first time this topic, and it's very, very important topic. In fact, I was also very excited to listen, and it's certainly eye-opening many of your perceptions and, sharing quantitative and qualitative body of data and deep insights, your experience I saw being shared. So certainly it's going to be a wonderful possibility for our audience. And you've covered in a nutshell challenges, research integrity, like maintaining and institutions ensuring transparency and accountability in research, and how do peer review and open access play up upholding research integrity, very important, and how researchers navigate ethical dilemmas in data collection and reporting, certainly very important. Steps to be taken to prevent plagiarism and data fabrication in academia. We come across, and many a times we as researchers, maybe young researchers, maybe senior or mid-term researchers, we are faced and sort of coaxed and tempted to sort of get into that fabrication of data in academia and plagiarism, whether in absolute research or academia. So that's like we also get tempted to this kind of thing. So certainly very important. I'm sure our audience will certainly draw major chunk of benefit listening and hearing your perceptions. It's again a possibility. Just for your kind of information, a little brief, Reso is a platform where we try to step through the noise to cause you most relevant and reliable sociological and other relevant societal challenges, kind of narratives and explanations. And that's the reason you're on board with us today, ma'am. Thank you so much once again joining us from Italy.